Thank you for joining me today at Kilmetain. First of all, before we start the discussion and go into future-proofing the creative industry and talking about like trends and tools and all of that stuff, I'm going to give everyone a little introduction about Esra. Obviously, based off of our conversation that we've had previously, you are a media and communications specialist who has been working in the field for over 15 years, which is quite a large amount of time considering the field, in my humble opinion, is quite relatively, I'm not going to say new, but a decade long in the Middle East. You have a bachelor's and a master's in public relations and communication, and you've also got a career that's expanded across the USA, France, and in Kuwait. You have founded your studio and you are the managing director of it as well. You specialize in branding and in marketing, PR, amongst other services. And with all of that in mind, I wanted to just ask you if we can just roll into our question. What inspired you to pursue a career in this field specifically?
Thank you, Ghadeer. It's a pleasure to be here. Well, as you've mentioned, I am currently the founder and managing director of Esra Alhabib Content and Brand Studio. And once upon a time, I was a student at American University, Washington, D.C. I got my bachelor's and master's in public communication. And I was also balancing some design work and PR work on the side. I then transitioned into the private sector. I've worked in Schlumberger in Kuwait. I was actually the first one to hold a position in marketing and PR after 70 years of establishment of Schlumberger in Kuwait. And after that, after 3 years and working in with the international, let's say, international branches of Schlumberger around the world, I got offered a job in Schlumberger Paris in La Défense. And I was the marketing analyst for Europe and Africa. And from there, a couple of years in Paris, came back to Kuwait, and I worked in media, something very different, and that was 2013. It was the rise of social media, the rise of influencer marketing, and it was a very interesting time. From then, transitioned to corporate again, moved to Gulf Bank. I was the manager of corporate communication, external comms, and for a few years, and then realized I missed the agency. So it's been back and forth between agency world and corporate world. I love both so much. After Gulf Bank, I realized I missed the agency world. I co-owned an agency for a few years, and I'm finally here with my own studio, again specialized in PR and branding. To be honest, what I value the most about my experience is that it gave me both perspective, working as a client with agencies and working at agencies with clients. And I was able to understand the challenges that both go through and really understand the dynamic and the process. And I feel that that has added a lot, shaping my global mindset and shaping my leadership style today.
So it gives you both perspectives on either end, the client side as well as the service side. I wanted to ask you, seeing as it's been, well, 15 years is quite a long time span to be working in a specific field, and you seem to be thriving in it. Did you find any complications or maybe hurdles that came in the way, seeing as you are a woman and you are quite driven, you're running your own business? Were there any objectives or things that got in the way for you that you felt maybe if you were on the other side of the spectrum, you could have maybe not had these issues or faced these issues?
Actually, that's a very interesting question. Gender was never a defining factor in my career. I've never thought of that. I never thought of that being a woman would make me less or more. I always believed that hard work, dedication, commitment is what makes you reach places. It's how you become successful. I've obviously had challenges, but the challenges that I've faced are common to any professional, whether women or men. I can mention a few challenges.
I was going to ask, were there any fields that were harder than others maybe to break into?
Not really. Not really. It's just because okay, my experience is in marketing PR, but it has kind of shifted, from public relations to social media to branding within the same field. But it has shifted, and again, with hard work and commitment and persistence, you can reach anywhere, in my opinion. I can say that one of the challenges that I've had was dealing with, how to say this diplomatically, but less than ideal manager, and maybe working with unqualified team members. But again, this all goes into shaping who you are. It all contributes to your experience, and it will. It's okay. It contributes to your experience, and again shapes who you are as a leader. All of these experiences in the field.
In your opinion, what are the key skills or attributes that some creative professionals need to thrive, need maybe to be able to keep up with the rapid pace that your field of work is moving in?
Okay, so there are many skills, but if I had to choose one skill, it actually goes back to the conversation Sheikh and the panel before me, they were discussing that. If I had one skill that I feel it's being overlooked is managing creatives. It's crucial, and it's been overlooked in the industry. Managing creatives is not the easiest thing in the world. Creatives need a special environment, an environment of independence, an environment of flexibility to be able to flourish, to be able to give to their capacity, basically, and give good work. So at the studio, what we do, we really understand all of these like specialties. Like you cannot manage a creative person like you manage anyone else. So there are like different challenges that you need to put in mind.
One thing that I didn't touch base on was your studio's ethos. So I know that you guys believe in sustainability, in leadership, in collaboration, along with client servicing. This is something also that they've discussed previously in the panel before, is about collaboration. And managing creatives is one thing that you touched on. How do you feel that you work, or do you feel that you collaborate with other people in your field? I'm not quite sure how to phrase this, but perhaps maybe there's specific creatives that you need to service a specific client that you have. How do you manage that?
Okay, I actually believe that collaboration lies in the heart of innovation. The studio was built with collaboration in mind. We collaborate as a team in-house, and we also collaborate with external talent. In-house, we collaborate from the ideas to executing the work, and we also collaborate with different talents. Kuwait is again filled with wonderful talents, many wonderful talents in Kuwait. It's just you need to find the right talent, and Jassim was just also brushing on that. Once you have the right contract, once you are fully clear about each one's role, collaboration just brings different experiences together, and most of the time results in wonderful work. When you bring experts from each field, that's when you get the best work. And I'm never shy to collaborate with different talents, and I'm also never shy to collaborate with also different agencies. And I feel that's something that's not being done, often people ask me, like, how do you collaborate with different agencies? Don't you see them as competition? For me, never. Like, it's never competition. I never compete with other women, with other men, with other business owners, with other agencies. Everyone has a different style, right? And this agency has its strength. This agency has a strength. And if you put them all together into a project, I'm willing to do whatever it takes for the benefit of the client. The client, like if you manage all of this collaborative work, which also requires skills and requires experience, you would come up with the best outputs, in my opinion.
I think that takes a lot to be able to put ego aside, to be able to understand that the client, at the end of the day, it's everything in the best interest of the client. Is there an example that maybe you could think of right now or that you'd like to share where you've actually collaborated with someone and seen a project that you were proud of to see fulfill, or is just in general, it's just
I literally collaborate on everything.
Okay.
Everything. I have a core team at the studio, an amazing team, and they take care of the core functions. And let's say if we have a jewelry client, or we have an entertainment client, that's when we assemble a team. And we all collaborate with external talents if needed, local or international, for the best output.
Now, the question that's been bouncing a lot in every single panel is obviously looking at the future and how it's impacting every field of every creative person or every business that's been sitting over here on this panel. How do you see it, or are there any specific trends that you see perhaps that may impact you in the future, or maybe be of benefit to you in the future for your business?
So technology is moving rapidly, and our field is rapidly moving. It's very important to keep up to date with what is happening. Do your research. Again, there's abundance of information everywhere. And what's very important is, of course, there's the rise of AI and all of that. AI, of course, is changing the way we create content, we tell our stories, how we engage with audience. But we should never forget the importance, again, of the human element. The human element remains very important. You need to develop your team. You need to make sure that your team is equipped to leverage these capacities and these technologies. And again, this goes back to managing the creatives. You cannot micromanage a creative. You need to give them your space. In the studio, for example, even like how the studio is designed, it's designed in a way that gives our team the flexibility if they want to work together, if they want to work solo. Because creatives, again, you need to understand that as the team in the panel before my talk were saying, they can easily burn out, they can easily leave and start working alone. So how can you retain them?
Going back to the topic of how your agency is quite, well, part of the brand ethos is sustainability. I wanted to talk about how you emphasize sustainability and ethical practices in the projects that you work on.
So environmental sustainability is one of my core values, and I try to lead by example with everything that I do. We are located in a building that's sustainable, a Tujjar building. It recycles, it has electrical recharging. We are fully digital, we are paperless. We never use paper, and we are striving towards zero waste. And even our business cards, they're recycled bamboo business cards. Again, it's more expensive, it's costly, but you gotta take the step. If you believe in something, you need to lead by example, and hopefully other industries, other companies, other individuals will follow through for the environment.
Now, a hot topic, well, people don't know, first of all, or maybe they do, the ones that we have over here in the audience, but that the field of work that you're in is not a 9-to-5 job. It's an all around the clock, given that it's probably because of projects and their deadlines, and in order to meet the deadlines and micromanage the creatives and all of that stuff, it just gets a little bit overwhelming and takes over one's personal time. How do you maintain balance in the field that you work in?
Again, creatives don't like rigid structures. I like structure. So I do have some structure, but creatives cannot function in rigid structure. You need to allow some flexibility and also independence. And if you are hiring a team, then you need to allow them to tell you, to give you their opinion, and to let you advise you on what to do. Correct? So you need to, like the creative industry, if there are any creatives here, you'll notice that their personal life is blended with their work life. They work late hours, weekends, their productions. These things happen, but we need balance. Balance is crucial. And I have personally struggled with balance. Okay, I am managing full-time a creative firm. I am also a wife, a mom of 2 boys. I'm managing a household. I have tons of hobbies. How do I do all of that? It's by proper time management and having the proper CRM tools to actually get the work done and be efficient. I'm so happy when my team leaves work at 4 on the dot. You see 4 on the dot, everybody's leaving, and I love that. Other business owners would be like, oh, what? And I actually witnessed that. Like, oh, they're leaving on the spot. They seem too happy. They're going on lunch breaks. It's like something it's a negative thing, right? They're going on coffee breaks. No, you need to encourage that. Creative people need that. But again, there's a fine line. There's a fine line between being flexible and being chaotic. And this, again, requires experience, requires discipline. But I've seen it. I've seen many people, many creative burn out, quit their jobs, regardless of how well paid those jobs are, regardless of how well paid, but because they feel burnt out. They feel they're not being appreciated. Again, the structure is rigid. So you need to manage a creative team creatively. That's, yeah.
Creatively.
Yeah, I guess.
So you spoke about burnout. Are there any specific techniques that maybe you'd like to share with people that you perhaps adapt to yourself or that you teach to your team members in order to ensure that they don't reach that limit?
So scheduling time off obviously is very important to avoid burnout. Scheduling vacation time, not blending work with work hours with personal hours. That's very important. Taking regular breaks. You know, it's a big issue. In our studio, for example, I make it a point to leave on time. I actually go to Pilates in the same building 3 times a week, just to set a good example. Like you can breathe, you can take time off. You just need to schedule your time properly, and again, balance. There are some days that we need to work outside office hours. We need to work on weekends, but there's some other days where we can work from home, or we can work from the nearby coffee shop, or we can be more flexible with our hours. So yes, and again, I feel like it's a shame that there's a high turnover rate in most agencies. The best people don't last long.
So leadership, obviously you lead by example at the end of the day, so you want to ensure that your team or the people that you work with maintain a somewhat holistic way of balancing work and their personal life. What word of advice would you give to people who would want to be going into your field, or people who want to work in marketing, or to other creatives? Like, what is something that you feel you wish someone had told you when you had started in your time?
I'd say never settle for anything less than, never settle for anything that doesn't truly fulfill you. You need to be fulfilled with what you do. And if you are in a toxic environment, just leave. Leave, and better things will come your way.
That's a very direct advice. Just leave.
Yeah, because again, if creatives are a toxic environment, it's very difficult. It will not only hinder their creativity. Like I have designers who stop designing, due to negative experiences in corporations or in different companies, and who doesn't want to do social media anymore, who doesn't want to do marketing anymore, who moved to like boring, easy jobs after after working in agencies, and everybody would see that they had wonderful potential, but that's what burnout does to you. So everybody has to be like, you need to really manage your well-being.
I did not mention earlier on that you had previously, before starting in your career, while you were a student in the States, you had done some internships to pave the path for yourself, or to understand the field that you want to get into, which is public relations and communication. Is there any tip that you would like to give to young people who want to get into the field that you're in? Obviously, maybe working while they're studying, not just focusing on their studies, or to try and like be more, pushy to get what they want?
I just think the more experience you have, the better when you're young, because that's how I realized. I mean, it took me a long time, but that's how you realize what your passion is. You need to try different things. So take the small jobs, do some freelance work, get a taste of what you like, what are you passionate about, what works for you, before taking that full-time job, or before, like, I know many people that want to go straight into having their own businesses. And to be honest, like, I have my own business now. I mean, of course, every person is different and every industry is different, but I have my own studio now after 15 years. I feel like I have different experience. I was in different roles. I was in different industries, first of all. Oil and gas, banking, agencies. I was in different roles. I was a coordinator. I was a manager. I led a big team, small team. I was a freelancer. And with all of these experience, you'll get to realize, what do I like? What did I enjoy the most? And I feel like most creatives would agree with me. It's not about the package or the job. Like, I've had jobs that they pay super well, many benefits, but if you don't feel fulfilled, if you feel like you're not reaching your true potential, you'd rather do something that's more aligned with what you like than get paid. I feel like this is also something that many creatives share.
That's a good one. I'm going to be turning off to the crowd if anybody has any questions they would like to ask. No? Up? Yep. Perfect.
I wanted to ask about your agency and how you stay up to date with the changes in the media landscape, and also now public relations, marketing, and all of these things. Like, social media has blurred the line between all of those. How do you distinguish between who does what, and is it managed by you or like your team? How do you make sure that everything is perfect and in sync?
Sorry, what was the first question? The first question.
Keeping up with updates in the media landscape.
Okay, again, keeping up with updates. The field is rapidly growing. There are changes all the time. You just need to be up to date. Social media provides information, international conferences. There's abundance of information online, and there are experts in the field, so you go to them. I go to my teenage nieces for TikTok advice. So
the professionals in the field.
Yeah, so you go to the experts and you get information. Again, it's always growing. You need to always be moving. Otherwise, you're not gonna be as developed or as advanced.
And the second part of your question was, how does your team adapt to it?
So before so we're a boutique. We are a boutique firm. Before taking a project, we make sure that we are aligned with the client. We make sure that we have chemistry. We align with the project itself. Are we interested, first of all? And are we able to add value or not? We won't tap into any project if we believe we won't be able to add value. I have many talented individuals and companies on my speed dial, and I'd be calling them. I have a client who's interested in I don't know, social media management, which is something I don't do, and I get so many requests for. And I would connect people to get it done. But in our studio, I manage the team. We are a boutique firm, and we assign projects once we know that we are aligned, we have chemistry, and we are excited, we are able to add value based on the capability and the qualification of the team member. And that's how, like, we have a team member who loves F&B, and I try to give her F&B projects. And we have a member who's more corporate, a designer who's more into illustrations, and that's how we assign the roles. But again, we collaborate. It's never like, Sarah, you do everything and go. Like, she would obviously take the lead, but we all collaborate, give our insights for the maximum output.
There was another question coming from over there.
I just have a question. When starting a new studio or a new marketing agency, let's say, what advice do you give on the selecting the team, and what advice can you give on that? Like, is it a necessity that they must all have a similar mindset, or is it better that you select different backgrounds or different experienced people?
Actually, that's one of the most challenging things in the field is to have the right team. And for me, what matters the most is obviously the quality of work and the experience, but most of all, the values of the team member. You know, it's you need to be like a close knit of people who share the same values, and they're all working towards achieving the same objective. Some things you can teach, but other things you cannot. You cannot teach ethics, you cannot teach commitment. These things, most likely, if you don't know the person in advance, you'll have to test out during probation period. But yeah, it's a complicated situation, unfortunately. And this is what most firms struggle with, is the team and finding the right team.
Thank you.
Just over here.
Well, thank you for sharing your experience. I wanted to ask about the internship. Do you have it for graphic designers, and how does it improve their skills, and how long, like the period of the internship?
I actually haven't had interns at the studio, but I have experience with interns previously. We don't offer internships at the moment. Again, we are a small team, and we are, again, we try to finish our work within work hours. So they're intense hours, again, with breaks and with mental well-being in mind. Hopefully in the future, we'll open the possibilities for internships, but not at the moment.
If you're looking for an internship, come find me after. So last question for you is, obviously, if you could inspire your young self, thank you, what would you tell her?
What I just said exactly is don't, if you're in a toxic environment, just don't, like, I feel like I stayed too long in environments that were not meant for me, and it took me too long to realize they were toxic. Like, I didn't realize they were toxic until I left, and until I realized my mental well-being has shifted and how everything got better. So you need to slow down and see for yourself if the environment is serving you, it's bringing the best out of you or not.
Trust your gut.
100%.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
I really
you,
appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you.